Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, I'm going to talk about a little adventure in Italy. I was there for a few weeks, so this is just a little taste of one of the tales from Italy. It begins on December 25th. I was in Rome with a friend that had come over from Aspen. And let's see, we were in Rome. We had plans to go to Milan for the evening on Christmas Day. Backstory is that I got to Europe in August, and I had a Eurail pass that I started when I was in Brussels. About a month later, I was up in Norway. The conductor there could not figure out what's going on my Eurail pass, so they just started it anew. Then, not too long after that, I was in another country where they once again could not figure out what was going on with my Eurail pass, so they just started it anew. So my 2-month Eurail pass was now good for August, September, October, and November. Sometime around November is when my friend came and joined me. Look at the timing of this. Oh my goodness. Oh wait, that's me. I thought that was my friend. She had a first class Eurail pass. It was also off season. So we would travel together, not necessarily in cahoots, but she knew what was going on. I would sit next to her in first class. The conductors would come by and say, passes, tickets. She would hand out her legitimate first class Eurail pass. I would look in my pockets, trying to find mine, and say, I'm looking, just a minute, I can't find it. And they'd say, don't worry about it, you're fine. And they'd keep going because it was the off season. And who scams in first class? Not with a real legitimate first class pass. So that's how we went around. Other times when they would announce that they were coming to look for tickets, I'd get up and I'd go to the restroom. Because obviously by now, my Eurail pass, this is December, right? We're progressing forward, and my Eurail pass is no good anymore. So I'd go to the bathroom, and the conductors would see me walking down the hall, and I'd say, it's in first class. I'd point down there. And they'd say, yeah, because they would remember my friend, who had the legitimate first class pass, was down there at the other end. And she had said to the empty seat, my friend's in the bathroom. So they would let me keep going. Well, now we're back to December 25th, 7:30 a.m., excuse me, on the train in Rome, leaving to go to Milan. Somewhere along the way, the conductor comes by, asks for the passes, and I don't have one. He will not let me go. He will not walk away. And he says, off! Next stop. So the next stop happened to be some tiny-ass little town. And he threw us off. I will never forget his face as we stood there on the platform, and the train drove away, and he leaned out and said, bye, have a good day. This was Italy, Catholic Italy, and this was Christmas Day. I don't know if he was always that sadistic, but he definitely was that afternoon, that morning. It was probably noon by the time we got kicked off the train. Kathy was very upset, legitimately. And I thought it was kind of funny, but it was also Christmas Day, and I knew that nothing was open and probably would not be open for several days. They would not take my visa because they didn't take those things on the trains at that point. And I didn't have any traveler's checks. Kathy had to cash hers. We went up the hill and sat in a gravel parking lot, wrote postcards to our family. And I think that's what really did Kathy in, because she was having to write to them and say that she had been kicked off the train and was in the gravel. And she just lost it. So she got up and went back to this tiny little hotel and started begging them to cash her traveler's checks. And then she came back and told me that she said she started to fake crying, and then she just burst into tears. She was missing her family so much. She was just so upset about where she was in the middle of Italy on Christmas Day, kicked off the train. So the proprietors felt really sorry for her. They cashed the checks, and we got back on the train, this time instead going to Genoa. We called and found out that the hostel that we thought we were going to stay in Milan was closed because it was Christmas Day. So we decided to just keep on going and head over to Monte Carlo, which is another story for another day.